Hi everybody. We are going to work together on upgrading the new standard for the Xeption library. The Xeption library is a library that a Nugget package that Hassan built, and we can see that into the issues, Hassan created a new issue for the Refugee Core project. That's the API of the Refugee.Land project. We see that he called it upgrade to new exception standard, and he gave us a video. So this is really important for open source project to give context, because it's really hard to uh, know what to do when you see an issue, so you do not have any idea of what you have to build or implement or anything. So Hassan is nice enough to give us some hints on what he's asking from us, and he has the habit of recording everything he does. And with Christo Dutoui, because in French it would be Dutois, but actually his name is Dutoui. Um, they made the improvement together. So Dutoui made some improvement to the exception library that able us to catch more issues with our tests, and Hassan made updated the standards to show us how we should implement the new testing. So I'm gonna just show you into the standard where we can find some references. So I'm gonna close YouTube, and go to GitHub and into Hassan's account. Let's look at the standard. Yeah. So this is Hassan. Look at this. Look at this guy. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so nice. Look at this smile. The tiny eyes. Look comme ça. Like, huh? You wanna kiss him in the forehead, huh? I see you, huh? So let's go into the standard. You can see that this is this book. Uh, this is a standard for the open source projects like that. If you want to know what's the architecture of our system or the coding guidelines, you can go through this book to understand how we are building our apps. And if we are going to the structural validation into the second chapter, because the second chapter is for services and we are using TDD to develop the logic, the business logic, because in the standard we have the exposers and we have the actual business logic into the services, and the connection to the outside world, to the brokers. So now we are going to test our logic, and our logic is living into the services. So that's why we are going into the second chapter, the services, and we are going to structural validations, because we are going to test our logic for the structural validation. And so if I'm not mistaken, we should find the example over there. So example of, is it it? No, it's not it. It's not it. Okay, this is it. So yeah, now we can see that the new way to test is here in the book. So it's the testing structural validations. Yeah. So we are going to implement this into the Refugee Core project. So let's see. I'm on the right branch. Yeah, I created a branch called CodeRub Exception Standard Update, and now we are going to be sure that we are up to date. So let's pull from main, and it should be okay down there on the right side. Yeah, all files are up to date, so that's fine. Do we have some changes pending? No, we do not have any. And so let's clean the build we are going to make everything clean, you know. We are going to clean up the solution, we are going to build it back, we are going to launch the tests before doing anything else. We want to be sure that everything's clean, just because, you know, like for the video it's better if we are sure that we are doing everything fine, because when you are messing up and you are on your own, that's fine, but when you are making a video to share it to the community, you want to be sure that everything is neat. So okay, the build succeeded, and now let's try to run the tests. So the tests. So let's see if the tests are still passing. Okay, are they passing? So there are some warnings. That's fine. Like we'll give them like we give them the warnings. We are living with warnings. We have to live dangerously, you know. And so okay, it's still passing. Now we are going to go to the Nugget packages and actually update the Xeption package. So let's update the Xeption package. Yeah, because I told Hassan that we should call it Xeption instead of Exception, because it's easier. If I'm talking about the Xeption package, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's upgrade this one. We are using the 1.6 right now, or maybe 1.7, I don't know, 1.6, and now we are going to download the 2.4 package. So is it ready yet? No, it's restoring the packages. Okay, and you know what? I think that we are going to upgrade all the packages after this one, but uh, every everyone, no, every packages but the entity framework, because entity framework, the last version of it is conflicting with some other stuff. So we are going to see how it goes. So let's run the test again and see if everything still passes. Not that we have the new version, but my PC is taking its sweet time. You know, it's getting old. 4 years and a half, something like that. You know, you know, it's not a young lad. Hey, getting a bit older. Maybe I should change, add some RAM, or let's. Did you notice? Like we have some tests failing. So let's look at the error message. So let's close the Nugget package manager and let's take a look at the error message. So expected invocation of the mock ones, but was 0. Okay. So the thing is that if we are going to our test right now and we are going to close this, we can take a look at the test and see that we are not respecting the new guidelines, the new standard for the Xeption library. And the Xeption library, if you don't know it, it's a library that allows you to add to an array a list of exceptions. And so I'm not going to go through the Xeption library right now. I'm just going to talk about the upgrade that we have to go through. So if we look at this, we do not have unexpected refugee validation that is run against the actual exception. So we are going to implement this. So if we take a look at this, we see that we have a student validation exception that is becoming an actual, that now we have an actual student validation exception, and it's of the type student validation exception, and we see that this is a wrapping exception. It's a big brother, you know, it's a category, and we have an inner exception in it. And the inner exception of this one is the invalid student exception. So this is the actual exception, and this exception is going into a bigger one, that is the category. Okay, so let's build the actual refugee validation exception. Okay, So here we're going to say refugee 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 validation exception, and it's going to be the actual refugee validation exception. Okay. And if we are looking closely, we can see that the assert is brought here, and this is our actual exception. Okay. So and be careful here. You see that we are not actually using the asterisk method the same way. You see, it's more as a value now, something like that. I don't quite understand, but anyway, I think it's not it's not a call anymore to a method, and it's not lambda function either. So let's take a look at this. Okay. And now we have to assert, like, to do the to see if the actual exception is equivalent to the expected exception. So okay, we are going to look at this and say actual relation, and we are going to use the fluent assertion. Is it called a fluent assertion? Let's see. It's not here in the NuGet package. Is it here? Do we have it listed there? Fluent assertions. Yes, it's here. So okay. So we are going to use the fluent assertion to say should be equivalent to should be. What's the matter? Fluent assertion should exception. Oh, should be equivalent to, and now we are going to say expected addition here like this. Am I crazy or what? I think it's fine. So they do it like this. Is it like this? No, they do not do it like this. Okay, so we are going to be good boys and just grab this and put it there to make it beautiful. Okay. So now that we've done this for this one, that's something, but actually we want to do it for every test. And like we are into the validation file. If you can take a look at the name of the file, it's a partial class, so it's the same class but it's a separate file just for validations. And because we are using a higher level validation, they are all called the same, and so we could just grab them like this, grab those line, I mean, and replace every setup like this. So I'm gonna look for the then and go okay, that's fine. So that's the first one, and I'm going to do this and to grab it again and to go to the next one to do the same, grab it again. Oh, I see there is a problem. Oh, I can. So it's not named the same way here. So let's give it a proper name. So expected refugee validation exception. Yeah, that's the one. And is it reference somewhere else? I don't think so. Okay, that's fine. So now let's go to the next one. And oh, I didn't grab. Oh no, so expected refugee validation. You know, I should do it by actually using a rider to be sure that everywhere it's used, it's gonna be changed. So expected refugee. It's not like this way. Expected refugee validation exception. Yeah, nice. Now I'm sure that everywhere it was called it's going to be updated with this new name. Okay, so now let's grab this again. No, not this. Those lines. And now let's go to the next test and see. Okay, I've already updated this one, and okay, we have to do this. I'm going to get rid of this one, this breakpoint. Yeah, sometimes when I'm starting to just think aloud and not speak to you, the volume of my voice is going down. But anyway, so that's when you can notice that I'm just thinking and not just talking to you. So okay, let's see here. Oh, I think. Oh yeah, I messed up. So I have to grab it back again. This, then there. Okay, okay, we are good. Yeah, we are good. And now everything is fine. Everything changed. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's see if the tests are still failing now that I've upgraded everything. I'm listening to dope music while I'm doing this. So, okay, it's still failing, but now we can see that there is an actual, like the error message is not the same. So expected inner exception data to have one item, and we found two instead. So let's go to this one, and we are going to make a breaking point here and just debug the test just to see, okay? What's gonna happen, because the thing is that we want to have only the date is not the same as in it, and it seems that we have something else into the array, into the list of exceptions. So let me grab this, and can I look straight from here? Okay, that's fine. Maybe it's a bit too tiny for the screen, but okay. Into the inner exception, we have a data list. Um, we have some. Okay, we have two items, but we expected only one, and we see that for the key updated date, we have date is not the same as created date, and this is what we set up, and we were expecting this. So the thing that we weren't expecting is the other one. So let's see how it's called. So the I want to see the key. It's for created date again. Really? Okay, and the value is date is not recent. Okay. Let's do the same thing, but for the other test. So now we are into a value is invalid, and we are passing an invalid refugee. So let's put a breakpoint where we are setting the evaluation to see if they are both the same, and let's run the test again. Let me get rid of the other ones, the other breakpoints, and so we saw that we had the date is not the same as, and we were expecting this to be into the data array, and there were another one called that is not recent or something like that. So let's debug again to see what's what with the other test. So are we going to jump to it or what? No, my breakpoints are not so well set. Really? Let me add a breakpoint here. I don't understand why, but maybe I didn't do the debug. I said just run. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, we are in it now. We are going to we need to see the inner exception. So do we have the actual validation exception? The inner exception is here. We have the data list. It's not an array, it's a list. Okay, so now let's see the results. The results, we have 2 items. So the first one should be for the it should be value is invalid. So let's look at this. Date is not recent. Okay, interesting. And the second one is gender, and the value is invalid. So we can see that there is a problem with the date is not recent. So let's go to the actual evaluation, the logic that we are using to validate that is inserting this when there is a problem with the date. So let's cut the debugging mode, and now let's navigate to the add refugee, because we can see that when the add refugee async method is called, we are expecting an exception to be thrown, and the exception should be the same as the expected one, but there is several things into the exception. So just we should go to the service to see what it's doing, to add say add refugee, add refugee add refugee async. Oops. Add refugee async. Okay, and which one? Let me see. I have trouble looking at this from foundation. Okay, this is the one. And now that we are in this, we need to go to the validate refugee, because this is the one that would send us the custom inner exception, and we see that we have the date is not recent here. So, and the condition is this one. So let's go to the is date not recent, and we are going to put a breakpoint here. Yeah, like that. If I want to see what's gonna happen, because we know that this is the validation logic that is throwing the date is not recent. So now I'm going to open the test again and launch the debug mode, and so hopefully it's going to reach to this method and give us some information. Okay, so now we are in the middle of it, and we see that here we are going to grab the current date time, and after grabbing the current date time, we are going to pick the date that we are passing here, so the created date, and then we are going to subtract the date that we passed from the current date time to have a time difference, and we are going to look if it's the time duration between the created date and the current time is more than 1 minute. We are going to send back through, and so it's true that the date is not recent, and that's what happens. So let's look. Let's let's have some more space here. Okay, so we can see that the current dead time is of the year 1, the year of our Lord, you know. So definitely there is a problem because the current dead time is not the year 1. We are in the 2022. And the time difference is 00. It's strange. Okay. So the time difference 00. Okay, okay, interesting. Um, and the daytime broker. And so we have a proxy here too. So we can see that uh, we we are using the mock of the daytime broker here. We are not actually using the real get current daytime of the daytime broker. Like our daytime broker is here, and it's a dependency injection. It's injected from our services, and if we are going to our startup, we can see that in our broker here we have our dead time broker, and we should have the current dead time. But so I noticed something, that we are not using this, we are using the mock version of this. So there is no problem with this, the real one. There is a problem with the mock version of the dead time broker. And there is something else. The other thing is that in the validation, there is no time difference between this and the date that we sent, and the date is this. So it's really weird because it should have some difference. Okay, so let's take one problem at a time, and let's focus on this first, and then we'll see. It's because I should step. Let me step. So I'm gonna step. Okay, current dead time, and now the date is set, and the time difference is this. So yeah, there is no problem. So yeah, the problem is actually that we are mocking the dead time broker, but the dead time broker isn't able to do a proper UTC now. So we have a huge time difference, and it's way more than 1 minute, and so that's why it's sending it's sending true. It's not a recent date because there is a huge difference between the year 1 and the random generated date. Okay. So the thing that we could do is to look at Google like this, like mock UTC now, mock UTC now, maybe add that time and C#, and see if other people have the same problem. So we can see that there are some solutions there, and we are going to ask Elbeck. You know, it's really nice to have some friends to ask for some help, to know if they have some solutions, if he has some solution to it. Oh, you know what? We should look at another project. So I'm going to open VS Code, and we are going to go through another standard compliant project. So there is a project called OSSS, and I'm going to look through it. Maybe I should go through Github to be like, yeah, it should be better. So let's go to on GitHub, look at the Hassan's repo, and he has so a repo called OTPS. It's an open source schooling system, and it's free for the school that are using their software budget for student in need. So let's go to the API and let's look at the services. The services? Let me. No, not the services, the test. So that's not the place that we want to look at. It's here into the services foundation, and we want to see how they are dealing with the the mocking of the dead time broker. So let's go to the students, because in his book he was using the students, so it should be up to date. So if I'm going to the student test, I can look at the mock and see how he's setting up the dead time broker here. Okay, let's do a quick Control F and look at if there is something, okay, like fishy with this. So in the they are passing dead time offset UTC now. Interesting, into the create student filler. Interesting. And there is an overload of this particular one, the create random student, where you can pass a date, and here you're not passing a date, it's just generating the date straight away. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and what else? Get random date, earliest date, get value. Okay, and the actual filler of student, they are getting a random date for the student. So the filler is from this library, the Dynamics library, and it helps us fill every fields into an object. So it's using the get random time for the birth date, and then it's using the data that we are passing to generate it. Okay, that's interesting. And it's ignoring the relationships to other to prevent self-referencing relationships, and the test would loop if we didn't add this. They wouldn't loop, but there would be an infinite building of reference, and and it would loop back to a refugee that would continue to build stuff. But anyway, so let's do. Okay, there is this. So this is the UTC now. They are passing the UTC now into the create student filler here. If you are not, we can try this. Let's see. But no, it's not, because it's not when we are creating the random student that it's not fine. But okay, the other thing is that it's when we are calling the mock dead time broker. So let's see if they have student validation stuff, student validation on add. And now we are going to see if they have the dead time broker mock. Okay. Okay, let's look at this. No. Did I pass something? No. here, look at this. Look at this. So there is a setup inside of the test itself. So we are setting up the datetime broker below the declaration of this expected student. Okay, so now we know how to have the to set the date on the get current date time. So we are mocking this method and we know how to make it give us something else than just a year one, you know. So let's grab this and let's stop the debug mode, the debugging, and we are going to go back to this and set it up like we saw. So it was here. What? What? Go here. So here we are going to set the datetime broker, the setup broker, get current datetime. Oh, there is a problem. So let's see what we have into our broker into our broker. So okay, ours is called get current datetime offset, and the random datetime. Okay. Is it enough? Because we are going to have this and random refugee and it's going a random date time for the updated date. Okay, let's run the test just to see what if something changed. Okay. Is it still failing? It's still failing. Okay. So now we are going to go into debug mode and to look at it again. Okay, I'm going to step over, and so let's close the unit test panel to have some more more space to look at the code. So okay. So the current date time is not current because we are putting a random one, and the date that we are passing is not the same as well. So that's a problem because we know that we are checking if there is a 1 minute time difference between those two. So let's go back to the test, and we want to be sure that the random refugee was created like the ender updated date here is the same, like is the same, yes, as the created date. Okay, so it should be, we could do this several ways. We could set it up into the filler, we could pass it into the as a parameter into the create random refugee. We could set it up by ourselves just here. So let's try this. I know it's not, it might not be the prettiest way, but just to try it out, we are going to do it right now. So let's do this, create date, and now they should be the same. So let's run the test again, and the it shouldn't have any, like, the data are the same, so I don't see why it should fail. Like, so it should work now, but we might implement the thing that we saw into the students, to make it a bit prettier, a bit simpler to set up when we are building tests. So let's cut this and run the test again. And is it going to pass now? It's not passing. Interesting. Asset throw failure. Okay, asset throws failure. What does it say? It says asset throws failure, type of exception, actual no exception was thrown. Okay, no exception was thrown. And what were we expecting as an exception? We were expecting a refugee validation exception with the invalid refugee exception, and date is not the same as created date, and now they are the same, so it's silly. Okay, so what was the problem? The damp is not the same as, it should be the same. So yeah, okay, that's fine. So it should be the same, so that's fine. But now why no exception was thrown? Yeah, so I'm saying stupid stuff, so this shouldn't be the same. Date is not the same. That's what we want. But what's the matter then? Because the updated date and the created date should be exactly the same, and but we want it not to be the same, so they are not the same here. And so not recent, okay, not recent is really just for the creation, and so between the moment when we are sending the refugee to the API and when it's evaluated, this is where we are going to check if there were a problem, like, I don't know, you open up your computer and something just was sent from yesterday, or I don't know, something silly like this. I can't imagine how it would, how something like this would happen. But so that's not the problem. The problem is that the mock that we set up here as the random date, I'm not thinking straight. Let's take a look at what I was missing. So you see, we are giving the random dead time to the our mock broker, but the problem is that we do not want uh, uh, this time this random dead time into the our broker, our mock broker. We want this broker to give us the same time as the created date, and this is not what's happening, because the created random refugee is regenerating, it's generating a random time, and this is another random time, so they are not going to be the same. So the thing that we are going to do is to uh, we want both of those to be the same, but not we need a second time, because this is not the same time as this one. So if I'm using get random time in this, it's going to generate a new date. It's not going to be now, but it's going to be, and it's not going to be the same as this one. And we want it to be the same as this one, and we want it to be pretty. But I guess just to we shouldn't do this like that now. Let's do this like this. We are going to create the time of now here. So now, and you daytime UTC now. Daytime UTC now. And now if I want to use it into the our refugee, I will say no, just not here, but here. Oh, here, and say that our random refugee created date as a now date. Yeah. So that's fine. And so here we should use now date. So that should work now. Does it pass? Oh, or not? I don't know. There is a suspense. What's going on? It's still thinking. Damn, boy. Okay, not it's going to try to pass it. Let's hope. Let's hope. Yay! Okay. Okay. So, is it a good way to do it? I don't think so. But now we know that we understand the problem. And so let's see how they implemented the stuff into the old triple S. And we were into the, let's go back. I think they have something in the setup. So in the student services test, if we go to okay, here we see that if we are not passing anything to the create random student, we are putting the UTC now in it. So let's do this, and we are so let me do this. Let me split vertically. Let's go back to the refugee test, and let's set up the create random refugee. Here we are going to say it's not exactly the same thing. So here, if we are not doing anything, it's going to create a random date, and we want not to create a random date, we want it to create UTC now. So let's, yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, here they are doing this here. That's perfect, my man, perfect. Okay, So now that we've done this, we can go back here, and we do not need to do this. And should we need to do this? I think that instead of doing this, we are going to call the datetime offset now here. Can I do UTC now? Yeah. So that should be that should be good. How did they do this in the student validation? On add, let's find the setup. I might just look at setup. They said that time. Okay, so that time create Renan and said that time. No, the same. Where is the dead time here? So the dead time here maybe is set on. Oh, it's here. Get random dead time, but we do not want the random dead time. We would like to. Can would it work? Do I like their solution? Or maybe I like mine. So they are passing the time here like get random the time. And they're passing a random the time. That's okay, so it would be so instead of creating a UTC now when you are not passing anything, you're just passing a date, and so the date would be the same here. So but we are already doing a random date time here, and it's a random student, it's not a random date time. Oh yeah, there is a random date time, so there is a setup. I don't know if I prefer this, but you know what? It's not about my preference, it's about consistency. And so, if people want to look at several projects to know how we do this, I think it's better if there is some stability, some, common ground. So, I'm going to do this, like they are doing into the OSSS project, just to help other guys that going to come later. So here I'm going to pass the time here, and I'm going to pass the time here. Okay, and let's try to run the test again. Ooh, and let's see if it's still okay. It should pass. Okay, and it passes. So now that we have a standard of doing stuff, we are going to do it here too. We agreed. We agreed on some coding guidelines. We are going to just use the same stuff here. And so, what's the matter here? What's the problem? Why why there is two lines? I don't need two lines of the same stuff. Like random refugee create random refugee at that time. Oh, like this. Yeah, sure. And oh, and we are missing the setup of the broker. So let's grab the broker again. Where is it? Broker, setup. Yeah, it's here, and we are going to grab it, and we are going to jump to the failing test, and we are going to put this under the expected validation exception, and it's going to use the dead time and the created refugee. Okay, and it should pass now. Let's see how it goes. Yeah. Okay. So we are going to. Did I upgraded every thing? Not okay. Let's update as a good measure. Okay, we are going to do it like good boys. We are going to separate things. So I'm going to say code, code, code rub, and this is uh, updating. Oh, how did he call it? Let's call it the same way that Hassan did on the refugee core stuff. So. Okay, that's fine. That like programming is an addiction. You're working on a problem and then you find the solution and you're full of dopamine. I don't know if it's good. Then being addicts. Maybe we have there is an association for anonymous programmers. So in the issue, it's called uh, upgrade to new exception. So next this, let's grab this and do this. Hey, it doesn't paste. Oh, upgrade to new exception standard, and now I can commit. Why can't I push? Specific. Select the file. Okay. Can I upgrade everything? I'm gonna upgrade everything. But the entity framework because it's conflicting. Okay, so now I'm upgrading everything. It's restoring the packages. Okay, I'm going to say, is it a code rub or what? I don't know. Let's say code rub. Upgrading new get packages. Okay, cheers. I didn't try to run to build it before. I should have. Let's try to build it. And but it should be okay. Okay, so thanks, and I hope it was useful for you. And you see that with the new exception library, like the new version of the exception library, we found some inconsistency with our tests. So thank you, Hassan, and thank you, Christo, and see you later, guys. Bye.